Hello, my name is Lisa Uznoy, and I'm Associate Minister of the Konko Church of Portland. The presentation today, as you can see, is titled Strengthen Your Foundation, subtitled Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs with Spiritual Grounding. I'm not a fan of long lectures because everyone's needs and levels of understanding vary greatly. Therefore, your participation is critical in your learning. I love interactive workshops, so I hope you have printed out the worksheets that were attached or in the link, or at least you have pen and paper ready for the reflection questions. This workshop is about knowing and strengthening your foundations. What is or are your foundations and needs from personal, secular perspectives, as well as how it's connected to your spiritual foundation. And then how to strengthen all of your foundations. It's formatted to take 90 minutes, which includes the time for you to pause the video to reflect and write your answers and have discussion time if you're in groups. So if you're quick about it, it'll be much shorter. So let's get started. In order to strengthen something within ourselves, we must first understand what it is and then review ourselves to see, do we actually have this? How strong or weak is it? Or what are we missing? How can we strengthen or support it better? Starting with a definition of foundation, the basis on which a thing stands or is supported, like the foundation of a building. However, I like tangible visuals. So if this crane were me, what am I standing on? Or I guess sitting on in this case. What am I being supported by? Which brings us to reflection question number 1. What is my foundation? So if this cup were my foundation, my source of strength, support, motivation, grounding, what would it be? What would they be? Pause the video here and write them on your cup or on your questionnaire, and unpause when you're ready. Once you've written your foundations, answer part B. Have you ever had your foundation shaken or taken from you? Were you able to get it back or strengthen it since? Pause to write it down. Or if you don't want to write it down, just think about it as a personal and private reflection. Again, unpause when you're ready. If you're with others or in a discussion group, now is the time you would share your foundations with each other. I'll share mine here. My source of strength, support, motivation, and grounding is Kami-sama, Konko-sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin. They're all basically the same entity for me. Family, interestingly enough. Kids, because I used to be uncertain of or afraid of things, but becoming a parent turned me into a mama bear. There is no fear or hesitation in what I need to do. I'm inherently lazy, but I would do almost anything for my children. So they have been a huge source of strength and motivation, as well as my husband and many more family members. My ancestors ground me, and disciples have inspired me. Mitama have supported me. So I feel so blessed and grateful to have such a strong foundation and grounding. And I'll briefly answer B. Yes, there have been a few events in my life that have definitely shaken my foundation. And I am grateful to say that also, yes, I have been able to strengthen and reinforce my foundation since. But these are what I feel are my foundations, my idea of what foundations are. What others are out there that we often don't consider. Maslow's theory of human motivation. This well-known theory for human development is something you may be familiar with. I learned about it in Psychology 101 in college, most people do, but I had forgotten about it until Bobby Sensei's FTI presentation here in Portland, years ago now. Abraham Maslow, an American psychologist and philosopher, presented his theory in 1943, describing the pattern that human motivations generally move through. Maslow studied what he called exemplary people, such as Albert Einstein, Jane Addams, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Frederick Douglass, rather than mentally ill or neurotic people. This theory from his observations suggests that people are motivated to fulfill the most basic needs first, and once these are satisfied, they pursue higher-level psychological and self-fulfillment needs. Therefore, a hierarchy of needs exists. They say Maslow himself did not create the pyramid diagram, but I assume many psychologists have done so over the years to help us visualize our fundamental and foundational needs in this order. So I'd like to go over them with you. Starting at the bottom is our physiological needs. Now, physiological is a big word for me, but basically means processes and functions inside your body that keep you alive and healthy, such as breathing. It says food here, but eating, drinking, sleeping, going to the bathroom, reproduction, basic functions for humans to survive. Safety needs, security of body, employment, resources, morality, the family, health, property. So basically, shelter, clothing, a job to be able to afford those, and family, I'm assuming it's talking about parents keeping children safe, as well as safety in numbers. Love and belonging, friendship, family, sexual intimacy. Sex was actually mentioned in the physiological level, probably as species survival. But I think at this level, it's referring to more of an emotional connection. Once you have food and shelter and are fairly secure, you can start paying attention to your emotions. Which makes sense, because if you don't have these fundamentals first, your emotions really, not that they don't matter, but they can't matter, because surviving is more important. If you give in to your emotions that is contrary to or denies these basic ones, like, I'm too upset to build a shelter, you most likely will not survive. Esteem means respect and admiration. Self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, as well as respect by others. Big difference. And at this level, you're doing both. You're giving and receiving respect. At the top is self-actualization, which means the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities. Basically, achieving one's full potential. So morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and acceptance of facts. Maslow's theories parallel many other theories of human developmental psychology, some of which focus on describing the stages of growth in humans. Taking this into account, we come to reflection number 2. What foundational elements do I have fulfilled? Using Maslow's pyramid on the left as a reference, in the right pyramid, shade in the percentage of each level you feel is currently fulfilled in your life. Example is, if you feel 50% of your physiological needs are fulfilled, then shade in half of row 1 below. Or if it's 75%, then 3/4 of a row. And so on for the rest of them. So pause now and unpause when you've shaded all of your levels. I had a conversation with a new seeker recently regarding this hierarchy of needs. There were things he said he didn't like about it, and through our conversation, I realized something very fundamental was missing. Spirit. We looked at foundations from our personal perspective, from a secular perspective, but now let's look at it from a spiritual perspective. Human-centered foundations can be taken away or erode. Any or all of the fundamentals that is in this pyramid can be taken away. We saw that during COVID. Food shortages, toilet paper, security breach to our health, dangers we didn't have before, jobs lost or you're unable to go to. We saw our basic need foundations crumble beneath us. What happens when such challenges and obstacles in life shatter or slowly erode our basic foundations. Our wealth. Everything we've built upon them will eventually fall. Therefore, foundation cannot only be what Maslow said. We have to have another foundation that can't be taken away, something more solid, deeper. Reverend Hirayama, the founder of this Portland church, for example, he came in his early 20s as an immigrant from Japan in 1903, worked hard, brought over his wife and mother, and in time began helped with beginning the Seattle church, became a minister, and then started the Portland church, which grew so fast that they had to move a few times to bigger homes to accommodate the number of believers. But then everything was taken away with a war. He was interned away from his family, lost both his mother and then his wife in the camps, getting out his house, property and possessions, church, congregation, family, everything he worked for his entire life, gone, taken away. At 69 years old, he didn't crumble, didn't despair, didn't give up, but stood up again and started over. How? How have people who have had everything taken away from them not despair? It's because they had something that cannot be taken away. Roots, grounding, something deeper. Do we have that something? If we don't, how do we get it? If we do have it, but it's not that strong, how do we strengthen or reinforce it? A few teachings are: use kami as your cane. A metal cane will get bent. A bamboo or wooden cane will break. Therefore, use kami as your cane. Kami can never be bent, can never break, and can never die. Think of kami as your parent. Think of kami as your parent, and kami will think of you as kami's child. You know that if the child is not with his parent, the child may be bullied. But with the parent, the child will not be bullied. Since you never know when misfortune or disaster will strike, you cannot avoid them, even if you want to. But if you have faith, while thinking that kami is your parent, kami will protect you from disasters you cannot foresee. The identity, to know that you are a child of kami. There are many, many teachings in Konko and other faiths regarding spiritual grounding. I won't go over them, but I have included a short 3 to 4 page list of Konko teachings that correspond to Maslow's various levels as a reference for everyone. Reverend Hirayama is quoted to say, "When I do kami's work, I feel like a handsome young 17-year-old. Foundation diagrams. I was trying to come up with diagrams or examples of foundations and how to better anchor them. I started sketching my ideas on paper, and I've spared you my chicken scratch and stick figure drawings, but basically, foundations. Buildings have rebar. My mother's always told me that I'm like a kite, flying around in the wind, and Andy has always been my anchor, keeps me grounded. And speaking of anchor, boats have anchors that dig into the ground. Skyscraper, boat, kite, but they're all still kind of human foundations. Michie Sensei was raised without parents, so she always called herself a child of the universe, Tenchi no Ko, which actually is what Kami-sama called us, Ujiko, which is a child of Kami. That's a spoiler. You are a child of Kami. Since Tenchi Kane no Kami is a parent Kami of this world, all people who live between heaven and earth are the children of Tenchi Kane no Kami, regardless of whether they practice this faith or not. You are a child of Kami. Because when we are born, we are given a part of Kami, a spark of the universe. And within our own hearts, our own very spirit is Kami-sama's spirit. We already have this connection. We just often forget about it or don't know how to be in touch with it again. Because Tenchi is alive, you are alive. We are alive. We're living, breathing like plants. Again, grounding. We want to anchor deeper like roots. Trees with deep roots. And as I was thinking about these, I looked over my notes and drawings and how to build a spiritual foundation, how to get from human-centered to, actually, I learned this, that self-actualization isn't all that Maslow said. He also used self-transcendence, and that actually is spiritual. Then I noticed his pyramid and the top of the tree that I had sketched have the same shape. His pyramid was just missing grounding, literally. So to be kami-centered, we need grounding through roots, deeper roots. So from Maslow's pyramid of needs, the little pyramid here over the tree, we need to connect it to roots. So what is the trunk? The trunk is Ikigami Konko Daijin's mediation, or other spiritual founders. They ground us to the earth. It's our connection to spirit. It's access to nutrients and water not available in the secular world. It's spiritual nourishment. When I showed this concept to another believer, they said, "Oh, that's receiving blessings from Ten and Chi." I had thought about Chi and grounding to the earth. I didn't think too deeply about Ten at the time, so decided to add it here. Ten and Chi. We are all organic. We are a living, breathing part of this living, breathing earth. We are born with the spirit and spark of Kami-sama, the very starting point of our lives, and thus is our foundation. And this cannot be taken away. Because Tenchi is alive, all people are able to live. As a child and a part of this universe, we live within the blessings of heaven and earth. And even after we're past, we stay within the universe. Which brings us to reflection question number 3. Growing and deepening spiritual roots. So label, who or what is your trunk? What is your connection? How is your connection to spirit? How are you grounded? What other spiritual roots do you have? And then list your mitama and ancestor names, ancestor family names. Pause here and unpause when you're ready to go on. And now we come to our action plan, SMART goal worksheets. And I want you to fill out 2. One is for strengthening foundations, and one is for nurturing your roots. The SMART goal for strengthening your foundation. Review reflection number 2, the worksheet with the pyramid you shaded in. Circle the portions that are not shaded in. These are the sections starting with the lower levels to focus on. Choose one lower level need you have yet to fulfill and fill in the SMART goal worksheet to help you fulfill that need. A quick example would be SMART goals. S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for attainable, R is for relevant, and T is time-bound. What exactly do you want to achieve? For me, one of the bottom tier ones is sleep. I need more sleep. Uninterrupted sleep, not just naps. So go to sleep earlier, which means I would have more energy during the day. Measurable, how will you track your advancement? At least 6 to 7 hours per night between hours 11 to 7 a.m. And I'll write the hours on my calendar. Is it attainable? Evaluate the feasibility of your goal. I was going to say 5 nights a week, but that may be too hard. So 4 nights a week is something I'm more likely to succeed. Relevant. How does it fit into your broader objectives? A better sleep schedule will allow my body to recover as well as to store necessary energy for the daytime. And time bound. When will you work on it? I will start it on Monday and track for 2 weeks. And again, kind of going back to relevant, how does it fit into your broader perspective? Objectives is, since we're talking about spiritual foundations, really it's taking better care of Kami-sama's body, allowing me to be able to do Goyo. And it's showing reverence to Kami-sama, which is my foundation. And a teaching that goes with it is Voice of the Universe number 323. Being cured is not the only thing to be grateful for. Always being in good health is. Pray for good health. Strengthen your body. Good health is the basis of everything. Going on to nurturing your spiritual roots. Quick example I'm going to give is have my children remember their ancestors and grandparents' memorial days, their spiritual birthdays. I finally get to copying the calendar that we have with the names and dates for them from our altar. Measurable. How will you track your advancement? I am going to write down the processes in my calendar. Purchase the booklets. Number 2, double check dates for the church records. Number 3, copy the names. Number 4, mail them by the autumn memorial service in September. Attainable. Evaluate the feasibility of your goal. Now that it's broken down into parts, I can see myself actually doing it. And if not by September, then definitely by the end of the year. And how is that relevant? Making ancestor roots visible for my children allows for them to be able to remember and to honor them, thus giving them a connection to their virtue and guidance. And connecting my children to their roots deepens my own. It's another level. Time bound. Step 1, I will purchase the books today. I'm saying this on the video. I'm going to do that today. Number 2, by the next memorial service day, since I'm already looking at the memorial records. And number 3, August. I will copy the names on my birthday. And number 4, I will mail them by the first Sunday in September. It's kind of cut off there. But you get the general idea of how to fill out your SMART goals. So again, pause here and unpause when you're ready to go on. In conclusion, the aim of this workshop was to strengthen your foundation. Foundation, which again is the basis on which a thing stands or is supported. And in order to strengthen something, we need to know what it is, if we have it, and if not, what we're missing, and then solutions on how to best strengthen them overall. In this workshop, we covered the know or knowledge part by asking, what is my foundation? My needs. We reviewed your foundations in Reflections 1. Look for what your foundational needs are, fulfilled and unfulfilled in Reflections 2. We covered the how to strengthen my spiritual foundation by identifying spiritual connection to Tenchi, the universe, through Ikigami Konko Daijin's virtue and teachings. You've been given a handout of teachings that relate to the foundations. Please read them as you have time. You identified spiritual roots to nurture, your ancestors, mitama, and other grounding elements in Reflections 3. And in Reflections 4, we created SMART goals, action plans to apply what you learned and actively nurture spiritual roots to strengthen those foundations. In this Konko Faith, we are taught the divine favor depends upon one's own heart. And so, whether you save or kill yourself also depends upon your own heart. You can save yourself with your own heart. We can teach you, we can guide you, but you have to put in the work. You have to put in the time to nurture and strengthen your own foundations. Through more awareness and active grounding, let us turn our human-centered foundations into unbreakable, unshakable, Kami-centered foundations in life. I hope this workshop will be helpful to people, and so please feel free to share it with anyone. And please seek mediation with your local minister if you have any questions or to go over any of the teachings that were handed out. We are happy to help anytime. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful week.